The entire restaurant went silent when the deaf Mafia boss stood up and looked directly at the waitress everyone had spent the evening humiliating. She was holding a silver tray with trembling hands, her worn shoes soaked from the rain outside, and the other waiters were already laughing behind her back. They thought they had created the perfect joke by pairing a poor, inexperienced waitress with the most feared man in the city. What they didn't know was that, within seconds, their cruel prank would expose something about her that would change all their lives. The restaurant was called the Black Oak, an expensive place in downtown Chicago where wealthy businessmen, politicians, and celebrities came to disappear behind velvet curtains and expensive wine. 24-year-old Grace Bennett worked there 6 nights a week. She lived in a tiny apartment on the south side with her younger brother, Caleb, and every dollar she earned went toward rent, groceries, and Caleb's college tuition. Grace didn't have designer clothes or a luxury car like the other employees. She owned 2 uniforms, 1 pair of black shoes, and an old phone whose screen was cracked across the middle. But she had something money couldn't buy. She treated everyone with dignity, even when they treated her like she was invisible. That evening, a storm had flooded several streets, and Grace arrived at work with rainwater dripping from her hair. She apologized to the manager, changed quickly, and went straight to work. Unfortunately, her coworkers had already decided she was going to be their entertainment for the night. 3 senior servers, Marcus, Rebecca, and Jonathan, had noticed that a reservation had been made under the name of Vincent Callahan, a mysterious billionaire known throughout Chicago for controlling a dangerous criminal empire. Vincent was deaf. He rarely spoke, almost never attended public events, and communicated mostly through sign language and written notes. His reputation alone made even experienced employees nervous. When Marcus saw Grace approaching the reservation list, an ugly idea came to him. He told the manager that Grace should serve Vincent because she was the only one available. The others exchanged amused looks. They knew Grace didn't know sign language. They expected her to embarrass herself in front of the terrifying millionaire. They whispered that maybe someone who looked as poor as Grace belonged serving someone like him. If you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change someone's life, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. Grace walked toward Vincent's private table with her heart pounding. He sat alone beside the window, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit. His face was calm, almost emotionless, but there was something tired in his eyes. When Grace reached the table, she smiled and gently placed the menu in front of him. She tried speaking slowly, then realized he couldn't hear her. Behind the bar, Marcus and the others covered their laughter. Grace felt her face burn with embarrassment. She could have walked away. Instead, she pulled a small notepad from her apron and wrote that she was sorry because she didn't know sign language, but she would do her best to make his evening comfortable. Vincent read the note. For the first time that night, his expression changed. He looked at Grace carefully, then wrote something on the paper and pushed it toward her. Grace read it and froze. He hadn't asked for food. He hadn't complained about her lack of experience. He had simply written, "Why are you apologizing for something that isn't your fault?" Grace stared at those words longer than she expected. Nobody had asked her that question in years. She quietly wrote that she was used to apologizing whenever people were disappointed with her. Vincent looked at her again, and something in his eyes softened. Then he noticed the worn photograph sticking out of her wallet. It showed Grace and Caleb standing beside a hospital bed. He wrote another question. Who is he? Grace explained that Caleb had survived a serious illness as a child and that she had promised their late mother she would always protect him. She had been working since she was 17, taking every difficult job she could find. Vincent's expression became unusually serious. Across the room, Marcus began laughing loudly, expecting the humiliation to continue. But Vincent suddenly stood. Every person in the restaurant stopped moving. He walked toward the manager, took out his phone, and showed him a photograph. The manager's face immediately went pale. The photograph showed Grace's brother Caleb. Grace's heart nearly stopped. Vincent wasn't watching her anymore. He was staring at the picture with an expression of shock. He quickly wrote on his phone and showed Grace one sentence. "I know your brother. Grace couldn't breathe. Then Vincent showed her another photograph, taken years earlier. It was Caleb as a little boy. Standing beside him was Vincent's younger brother, Michael. Grace's hands began to shake as she realized the cruel prank that had brought her to Vincent's table had connected two families through a secret neither of them knew existed. The room seemed to disappear around her. For the first time that night, nobody was laughing. And Vincent, the man everyone feared, looked at Grace not as a poor waitress, but as someone whose life had been connected to his for years. The truth was only beginning to come out. Near the end of that emotional night, Grace would learn that sometimes the people who try hardest to humiliate you accidentally lead you toward the person who can change your entire future. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe for more stories that remind us never to judge someone by their circumstances. And before the ending, comment, "Kindness changes everything," if you believe one small act of compassion can completely change a person's life. Vincent sat back down and opened his phone. His hands moved slowly as he typed a message that would reveal the truth Grace had been searching for since childhood. Grace leaned closer, tears gathering in her eyes. The message said that Michael had once saved Caleb's life. But Vincent hadn't seen Michael in 12 years. And now he finally knew where his brother's missing family had been all along. Grace looked across the restaurant at the coworkers who had laughed at her only minutes earlier. Their smiles were gone. Their faces were filled with fear and regret. The poor waitress they had tried to embarrass had just become the one person in the room whom the most powerful man in the restaurant desperately needed to protect. Sometimes life doesn't change when you become richer, stronger, or more powerful. Sometimes it changes when you remain kind while everyone else gives you a reason not to be.